Hi, it's me from my channel, and today, we're gonna talk about BMW Story. So let's get into it. We are here at the BMW Museum, right next to the BMW factory in Munich, Germany. So what better place to talk about the history of BMW than here? But if you don't know, BMW stands for Bayerische Motorenwerk, which is German for Bavarian Motorworks. The company was formed in March 1916 as a merger between two existing companies in Munich, Rapp Motorenwerk and the Max Friz Company. These two companies had been founded in 1908 and 1909 respectively, and they were both aircraft manufacturers, so the new merged company was going to be called Bayerische Flugzeugwerk, or Bavarian Aircraft Works, but just a couple of months after it was formed, the company would be renamed again to Bayerische Motorenwerk, or BMW. So why did they change the name? Well, during World War I, there was an embargo on the use of the word Flugzeug, which means aircraft, so they couldn't use that in their name anymore. But the story of BMW goes back even further than that. The earliest beginnings of BMW can actually be traced back to the 1800s to a man named Karl Rapp. Rapp started his career working as an engineer for an aircraft manufacturer. Then he moved on to work for another company called BFW, which was a locomotive manufacturer. But in 1908, Rapp left BFW to start his own company called Rapp. His business partner at this company was a man named Max Friz. Meanwhile, a man named Camillo Castiglione was running an engine manufacturing company called In 1909, Max Friz left Rapp Motorenwerk to join forces with Castiglione at Metal. Together, they designed the first ever airplane engine manufactured in Germany. The engine was a four-cylinder V-type, water-cooled power plant. It was installed in a BFW B-1 two-seater reconnaissance plane. This aircraft made its first flight on August 15, 1909. Max Friz would then go on to found his own company in 1909, called Max Friz Motoren GmbH. In 1913, the Rapp Motorenwerk and Max Friz Motoren companies merged to form a new company, called Bayerische Flugzeugwerk, or Bavarian Aircraft Works. The new company built aircraft engines and entire aircraft for the German military. In 1914, they delivered 125 aircraft to the military. By 1916, production had increased to over 1,000 aircraft per year. But unfortunately, the war would come to an end before long, and with that, the demand for aircraft would disappear almost overnight. But that wouldn't be the end for BMW though. The aircraft division was closed down, but the engine division remained open and began building motorcycle engines. In fact, BMW would go on to build motorcycle engines for several different companies, including Victoria, which was a motorcycle manufacturer, and even Opel, who was a car manufacturer. After that, BMW came out with their first traditional motorcycle with two wheels called the R37. In 1923, BMW developed their first truly modern motorcycle, the R42. The R42 featured a 750cc engine that produced 30 horsepower and could reach a top speed of about 81 miles per hour. About 18,000 of these motorcycles were built. The R42 was also the first motorcycle to feature a telescopic front fork. But unfortunately, by the late 1920s, the motorcycle market was starting to slow down due to the Great Depression. But, despite this, in 1928, BMW would try their hand at building cars again. They purchased the license and tooling from Austin Motors in England to manufacture the Austin 7. The car was redesigned and re-engineered BMW production methods and was launched in 1929 under the name BMW Dixie. About 32,000 of these small cars were produced until 1932. Unfortunately, like the motorcycles, the car market would soon slow down due to the Great Depression. Despite this, in 1933, BMW continued trying to grow. They opened up a new factory in Eisenach, Thuringia, to build the BMW 3, which was a slightly larger version of the Austin 7. BMW had hoped to sell about 25,000 of these cars per year, but they only managed to sell about 12,000 in the first year. Due to the low sales, the factory in Eisenach was sold to the Soviet Union as reparations for damage done during the war. BMW would continue making the 303 until 1935, but this would not be the end for BMW. They would continue growing and eventually take over a company called Fahrzeugfabrik 0 Meters Saal, which was a small tractor manufacturer. This tractor company was located in Berlin, and BMW would use it as a front to develop aircraft engines for the German military. When the factory was searched by Allied forces after the war, they discovered over 1,000 engines hidden in the basement of the building. This saved BMW from being completely shut down by the Allies. For the rest of the war, BMW continued to supply aircraft engines to the German military. After the war ended, the company would be split up. The car and motorcycle divisions would be allowed to remain in Munich, while the aircraft division would be relocated to a town called Berlin. But this was short-lived, because in 1945, the French would occupy Munich and shut down all of BMW's operations. But finally, in 1948, BMW would be allowed to reopen. The first product they built would be the BMW Isetta, which was a small bubble car. It featured a 250cc engine that produced 13 horsepower and could reach a top speed of about 62 miles per hour. About 16,000 of these cars were produced. In 1951, the BMW Isetta was replaced by the BMW 501, which was a much more traditional-looking car. It featured a 1.5-liter engine that produced 55 horsepower and could reach a top speed of 75 miles per hour. The 501 was meant to be a luxury car, but it didn't sell well because it was too expensive. So in 1953, BMW introduced the BMW 600, which was a smaller and cheaper version of the 501. This car sold much better, and it was the most popular BMW ever made up to that point. In total, over 200,000 of these cars were produced. The 1960s were a decade of growth for BMW. They introduced several new models, including the BMW 1500 in 1961, the BMW 2000 in 1964, and the BMW 2500 in 1968. All of these cars were very successful. In 1968, BMW became the largest automobile manufacturer in Germany. But in the 1970s, BMW would face some challenges. In 1973, there was an oil crisis, which caused a recession, and people stopped buying luxury cars. In response, BMW introduced the BMW 50, which was their first compact executive car. It was meant to be more affordable than their other models, but it was still seen as a luxury car. The 50 was a huge success, and it helped BMW weather the storm of the 1970s. In the 1980s, BMW would continue to grow. They introduced several new models, including the BMW 3 Series in 1982, the BMW 7 Series in 1986, and the BMW Z1 in 1989. All of these cars were very successful. In 1986, BMW opened up a new factory in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This factory would eventually become the largest BMW plant in the world. In the 1990s, BMW would introduce several new models, including the BMW 5 Series Touring in 1991, the BMW 8 Series in 1992, and the BMW X5 in 1999. All of these cars were very successful. BMW has continued to grow since then. They have introduced many new models, including the BMW 1 Series in 2004, the BMW 7 Series in 2008, and the BMW i3 in 2013. BMW has also expanded into other businesses, such as financial services, leasing, and motorcycle manufacturing. Today, BMW is one of the most successful and profitable automobile manufacturers in the world. So that is the story of BMW. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, let me know what you thought about the video down below in the comments. I look forward to reading your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.